One alternative you can look to if you're having trouble with email delivery and you think it might be better if you're running your emails through an alternate server or service. First of all, I would recommend using our built-in email service. It has pretty good IP reputation. We don't have so many, millions of users or anything like that pushing emails through a single IP. So our IP reputation is pretty good. But if you just want to try something else, this is an alternative that you can do. I would definitely not recommend sending emails through your own regular email server. Even our SMTP server is a transactional email server with an API. Sending a lot of email through a regular email server is going to probably land you into trouble where you're going to run into rate limiting, where the server itself is going to start rejecting emails that are coming through because it's going to see them as you're just sending too many at one time. It's going to be suspicious of that and shut it down. So I wouldn't go that route. So one option is to use a service like SendGrid. And then what's the other one that was out there? It was bought out by Mailchimp. So Mailchimp owns, what was that one called? Mailgrid? No, sorry. I can't remember the name of it. But it's now called Mailchimp, or Mailchimp now owns it. So Mailchimp can also do transactional emails, but for this example, you can use any one you want. There's actually more than that. Any transactional email service. SendGrid's good. It's just been around forever. Twilio now owns them. And let me see if I can get another window open over here so you can see this a little bit. I've got a test account for SendGrid open here. Let's get this opened up a little bit better. Okay. And you can create a free account. Now it's limited to 100 email sends per day. If you have a really small account, it probably would be okay, but just keep in mind that's 100, and you can run through those pretty fast because remember, it's not just the number of customers you have. So if for example, if your portal sends out account summaries or new invoice notices, it's going to send one every time. Every single time you do a password reset or an invite email or anything like that, past due reminders. So those can add up kind of quick. And if you have even more than 50 customers that you've enabled and you have automations enabled, you could run into the 100 limit pretty easily. So just keep that in mind. I think the first tier is I think it's similar to Mailchimp. It's maybe $14.95 or something like that. So I would suggest, if you're really going to use it in production, I probably wouldn't just do the free account. I'd probably get the first tier. But anyway, we don't make any money off that. We're completely independent. I'm just showing SendGrid right now as an example of what you can do. Okay, so I'm not going to make this video about how to set up an account on SendGrid because there's lots of walkthroughs and videos out there showing you how to do that. The main thing to know about is how to utilize, where you need to look at, what settings to look at, and what you have to have enabled in order to use it with GoToMyAccounts. And really, there's not much you have to do. You're going to need an API key. Okay, so let's look at that. So here are, I've got them blurred out here, but I have two set up here for testing. And in addition to this, you're going to also need sender authentication. So in order to send from a particular email or domain, you have to have it validated or verified. So in my case, I created a test one here, a domain that I can send from. It's already been verified. And again, I'm not going to do that here because there's plenty of other videos out there that are just for how to set up things in SendGrid. So you can look at those resources to do that. Okay, so I have my test domain here that I can use. I can send, at this point, it's domain authentication, which means I can send using anything at this em9711.gotomyaccounts.com. All right, so let's get this out of the way, and now let's show you what to do. So right now I'm sending through our own SMTP service, and of course our own domain is validated. So I don't really have to do anything else except make sure I use the same domain in my from address. So if I want to use an outside service like SendGrid, I'm going to click here to expand some additional settings. So the first thing to do is set the from address. And as I mentioned, the domain is em971, whatever I said. What was that? I'm going to copy it from my other monitor here. So let's just modify that domain like this. All right, so it's em9711.gotomyaccounts.com. I can leave all that the same. The sending address, and you can get all this information on the document, on the the API documentation, but it's just smtp.sendgrid.net, and then you're going to set the port. Now down here it says when using TLS, your port setting should be 465 or 587. Probably going to have to update this page because 465 is basically deprecated. You're going to use 587. And even though 587 is designed to automatically upgrade to TLS whenever it can, just go ahead and select TLS. On many services you don't have to do that, and even on this one I'm not sure what would happen if you didn't click it, but just click use TLS. It's the safer bet anyways. And then your SMTP username, if you're doing just regular API key authentication, all you have to do is put API key here. You don't have to have there is no real username. And then you're going to copy in the key itself into the password. Like that. Before hitting save, you probably want to go ahead and test it. So let's test the settings. And we got a good test. And then go ahead and hit save. And that's it. It is now ready to send from that address. So let's go to our test company, ABC. Let's see. All right, there we have it open. Let's just send an email. And it's going to send to one of my addresses here. I'm going to go ahead and hit send. And then just for fun, why not just go in here to this account and say send invite. All right, let's go to the email log for this user. So we've got this is one I just did a little while ago. Let's refresh this. One more time. Okay, there's the account summary one that's right there. And let's look at the delivery log. It went out. Now you'll see there's not as much detail because I'm using a third-party sender. So I have information about what occurred on our server, which basically just relayed it there. It's going to forward it on. But as long as this it was able to send it to the server okay, you're usually in good shape. I mean, it didn't get rejected at that point, but of course you'll want to check to make sure that it actually gets delivered. Okay. You'll notice that the invite email didn't show up here, but that's because an invite email is user-centric, not per customer, because you can have it. A customer can be bound to multiple, or a user can be bound to multiple customers. But if we go into the email log, let's go there. You'll see that the welcome email, it's right here. So it did go out. Worked okay. All right. Now this is just on a test system. So I'm going to open my email and just make sure it got there. And it looks like it worked. Okay, so there is the account summary. And here is looks like the welcome email. So that's good. It means that it did what it was supposed to do. Nothing ended up in my, my junk email or spam folder, so that's a good sign. So whether SendGrid or any other third-party sending service is going to make your emails more deliverable is a little bit debatable, because they're basically doing the same thing that we're doing. There, like if you go into this email, okay, if we go, let's look at this one right here. Let's go to the view source and look at the email headers. They're basically doing the same thing. They're setting up the DKIM, which is the certificate or the key. But what these guys do is they just send email, so they're pretty good at it. Like you can rest assured that they're probably doing everything possible to ensure that things get delivered. but there's not that much difference. I mean, the main key elements are there, such as like SPF validation and the DKIM. See, these both here have to pass. All right. If I open up an email that I sent through our service, you're going to see the same thing there. So, but anyway, there's nothing wrong with this. I think that your experience with SendGrid will probably be just as good as if you're sending them through our server. But if you're having issues, or you perceive that you're having issues sending emails through our service, you can definitely give it a try. Try SendGrid if you don't like the way theirs works. There's also Mailchimp, which again does the same thing. They have transactional emails. I don't know if they have a free tier for that. I believe they did before, but I don't know if they still do. But SendGrid's been around for a long time. They know what they're doing. I mean, it's definitely an option if you want to just pipe all your emails through there. I like, even though you can't see all of the same information in our delivery log, you can see what when it was queued and when it actually got sent. But on SendGrid, there is still information that you can get into. Like, so if I go in here and I go to the dashboard, I should be able to see stats in here. I think it takes a little while before, let's see here, before they show up. There we go. They're in there. Okay. There we go. So you can see like how many got delivered, how many bounce. But again, a bounce is different than, say, if it goes to spam, that's not something that you can necessarily see. All right. Okay, so anyway, that is basically the procedure, how to configure SendGrid for your email sending. It's not that hard, and you can use any other third-party sending service. Just make sure that they support transactional emails, in other words, bulk, where you're sending a lot of emails at one time, because our backend is going to fire these things off like very quickly. That's why you don't want to use your own mail server. Your mail server is probably going to reject that. It's going to see that it's going to hit a rate limit real quick. If you want to turn all this off, I've had people ask me, how do I get rid of it? Like, how do I go back? And all you do, I should just make a button for this, but is just clear out all these fields, just turn them off basically like that, and then save, and then now we're back to sending emails through the Go to My Account server. That's it. So you can go back, you can test this out. Actually, we'll have to switch this though. You can test this out and see if you like it, see if it works for you. Just make sure that the domain and the sender address is validated. If you do that and your API key is working, you do the test, should be fine. You should be able to send through here without any issues. All right, that's it. If you have any questions, just shoot us an email to our support inbox or the in-app chat.